What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am recapping the Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 5. It's called Sunshine and Sexts. I'm excited to go ahead and dive in, and I'm happy that you guys are here with me today. If you're rocking with my content, please remember to like and subscribe. And as I am going through the recap and giving my thoughts, I want to hear from you as well. So please feel free to leave a comment, and I am happy to respond back. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, Episode 5, the ladies are still in Nevis and they are still at dinner. And mind you, this is when Ashley had dropped the bomb that Stacey was trying to date Chris Samuels. And so Ashley says her friend Tatiana told her that Stacey was trying to reach out to Chris, trying to get to know him and date him. Stacey says, that she's good friends with him, and that's pretty much the extent of things. Ashley says, well, Chris even says that you were trying to get with him, and Stacey's like, well, any guy would say that. And then even Gizelle chimed in, oh no, he's not like that. And then a few other ladies at the table were saying that he's not like that. And I'm not saying that he is like that, but I'm like, Gizelle, when did you become such a Chris fan? Because last time I saw you interacting with Chris, you were having security on stage and you were scared and you were just clutching your pearls. And now you're, speaking up for him. All right, girl. Okay. So here goes Ashley. She was like, well, you want to call Gizelle out and, you should talk about yourself. And it's just like, girl, you and Gizelle make a career out of getting in people's business and trying to expose them and trying to ask them questions and being messy and trying to embarrass them. So yeah, people can do it back to you. You guys are not beyond reproach. Just because you're OGs, I wouldn't give a damn personally. I don't know why people tiptoe around Gizelle. She is not beyond reproach. Okay? You can ask her questions. You can get messy with her. You can get in the mud right with her. So I don't know why Ashley was up here as Wendy said later on in the episode, Captain Save-A-Ho, and God forbid someone asked Gizelle a question. Yeah. She's on the ensemble cast just like everyone else. She's going to be sitting right on that couch just like everybody else at the reunion. So you can get that smoke too, Gizelle. And that's what makes the show fun. It doesn't make the show fun with Gizelle driving all the conversations and pointing all the fingers and making all the accusations and no one can say anything back. That's not fun. That's not enjoyable. So I like that people are starting to put her in the hot seat and, question her and get her to try to open up because Lord knows she doesn't do it on her own. Okay. Stacey says, listen and listen good. I am back with my husband. I said, come on, Stacey. So, in a confessional, Wendy says that we were just starting to get into hearing about Gizelle and Sean. And then here goes Ashley putting on her cape to rescue Gizelle and playing Captain Save-A-Ho. And I'm like, exactly. Oh, girl. Ashley, you started out so promising in the beginning. You were so young and you really stood your ground against Gizelle and Robin. And then can we talk about how the only reason Gizelle actually warmed up to Ashley was when Ashley revealed that her and Michael were having marital problems? Did y'all peep that in I think it was season 2 reunion when she was kind of like, yeah, we're kind of separated. We're not doing well. And Gizelle and Robin's eyes lit up. Go back and watch. It was like, oh, really? Oh, well, who moved out? Well, what happened? Oh, we're here for you. Oh, we care. And it was like, y'all aren't friends. Before then, Ashley was the young hot thing with the older rich husband. And Gizelle and Robin were the divorcees. And so, Ashley kind of had a little bit of edge over them. But as soon as she kind of exposed a vulnerability, then all of a sudden, Gizelle started warming up to her. And so anyway, it's annoying that ever since then, Ashley has been just getting more and more like Gizelle and standing up less and less against her. And, we've seen glimmers of Ashley, being her own person. She wasn't as bad as Robin, but this year it feels like she is fully in line and just trying to be second in command and just trying to be the new Robin. And it's so disheartening to see. I really liked when Ashley was kind of like the anti Gizelle and really was the one to like check her. Gone too soon. But anyway, Gizelle asked Stacey if she's met Monique. Stacey said no. But maybe she will, since Monique's friendly with some people at the table. And in a confessional, Stacey says, "You can't expose something that's not true." And she says, "I'm going to live my best life in my nameless robe and have a great time." I said, "Come on, Stacey." Stacey gave me life when she said that. I literally cackled out loud. I love her. She's so she's like impenetrable. Like, you can't rattle her, at least from what I've seen. It's hard to rattle this woman. And so I'm here for it because they're trying so hard and y'all are flopping. Like, she's not cool with Monique. She's not with Chris now. Whenever she was reaching out to him, he was probably single. She was probably single. What's the tea? That is some old, cold, it's not even tea, child. It's probably like lemon water. Like, who cares? Who cares? So y'all failed and flopped. And then Stacey says at the table, "Y'all want me to be somebody I'm not so bad, and you just can't accept who I am." I said, Stacey over here dropping bars. But then here goes Angel. "Oh, I can relate to that." Girl, shut up. Angel, I got some words for you a little later. But girl, no one wants to hear from you. Stop. So back at the suite, the ladies have a cake and a cute little like dessert spread and some sweets and some champagne and drinks to celebrate Wendy's birthday. So they, had some candles and they sang happy birthday. And of course, Ashley's off key again. Anyway, and it was really cute. And Gizelle made the joke of like, last year we celebrated your birthday every freaking day. Today you're getting one celebration. So that was cute. So Kay, the miserable hater, says she's tired and she leaves. And she doesn't even like say, not that they're in a good place, but I feel like since the gathering was now a birthday celebration, I think it would have been nice if she was like, "Wendy, I'm so sorry, I gotta duck out, but happy birthday, enjoy the night. Bye." And she didn't. She was just kind of like, "I'm tired, I gotta go. Bye, Gizelle." And like got Giselle's permission to leave, but like didn't interact with like the person who they were supposed to be celebrating. I didn't like that, but whatever. So I was kind of like happy when Kay left. I was like, okay, fine, bye, because I can't stand just like Debbie Downers and people like pouring out their negativity. So I was like, okay, great, take that elsewhere. So Kay leaves. And then they play a game and it's tell the truth or take a drink. And so Ashley asked Wendy if she's ever been attracted sexually to a woman. And Wendy says yes. There was a stripper who just was so bad and she felt attracted to her. Ashley asked Jassi, do you believe with all your heart that there are no infractions with your fiance? Like, do you think he's kind of done messing around? And Jassi was like, yeah, currently, yeah, there's nothing going on. I said, oh, currently. Okay, girl. All right, girl. So then Wendy asked Angel, if you could kill anyone in the group, who would it be? And Angel says, Gizelle. She was like, yeah, because you called me a catfish. The kind of bully that needs to be punched in the face, figuratively. And once you stand up to her, then you gain her respect. Like, she doesn't freely give respect and freely see people as her equals. You have to like check her and stand up to her for her to be like, oh, you're worthy. Okay, we cool. So Wendy and I think Stacey were like, yeah, girl, come over here to the dark side, like just joking around, saying like, yeah, come over here against Gizelle. And Angel comes up and walks over to sit next to Wendy, and Wendy she takes Gizelle's seat, and Gizelle gets up and walks over to Angel's seat, and everyone's like high-fiving and just laughing, like, yeah, like kill that bee, having fun, right? The night ends with the women saying goodnight, giving each other hugs. And it really was a really light, positive note. And in my head, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, good. We can kind of like move forward, and this catfish thing isn't going to be a thing. And I was like, okay, like this is what I want to see. Like a quick resolve, a key, let's move on. I was like, yes. And in the confessional, by the way, Wendy, you looked gorgeous in that confessional with the red and the hair, gorgeous. Anyway, um and in confessional, Wendy said, no, I just find it interesting that when Kay left, Angel was kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Like she came alive. She showed her personality. She got to know us. We got to know her. We got to Kiki. And I noticed it too. So all I have to say is the switch up is crazy. And honestly, that should have been the title of the episode because we're going to see that a few more times throughout this episode. But anyway, so the next morning, Kay and Angel talk, and Angel says she's very disappointed in Gizelle. And I'm like, wait, what? Weren't y'all like laughing the night before? And so Gizelle shows up. She actually looks cute because we know Gizelle struggles. Like Gizelle looked cute. And Gizelle came in with like a positive attitude. Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? And, they greet her, but it was very like cold and kind of stank. And then Kay says, we were just talking about you. So like, maybe y'all need to talk. So Kay lets Angel and Gizelle talk one-on-one. And Angel immediately starts crying and says she's very disappointed, and she looked at Gizelle like a big sister. And I was like, "Arr!" And I was like, didn't you just meet her? You just met her. This is episode 5. At most, y'all have been filming maybe 8 weeks. I'm gonna be generous and say y'all been filming 8 weeks. And you've known this woman for 2 months maybe, and you looked at her like a big sister? Huh? Angel, you sound crazy. You just met this woman. You are a grown behind woman. You're what, late 30s, early 40s. You sound insane. And I'm like, were you just a fan of the show and in your head you're closer to Gizelle than you really are in person? Like, are you getting your wires crossed and like mixing up online and TV with like actual real life? Like, where is that coming from that a woman you just met who hasn't been that nice to you, like, she hasn't been mean until like recently, but I didn't exactly see her like take you under her wing and like, give you the Ashley treatment. So like, it's strange that you felt that way. You need to probably get that checked out because that's very strange. But anyway, she said, I looked at you like a big sister, and you're just so mean. And Gizelle actually apologizes. Now we know this woman does not apologize. So the fact that she did, I was like, okay, girl, like, okay, come on, growth. Like, come on, growth. Gizelle says that, I see such a beautiful woman in front of me, and I just wanted to know where that person was in the pictures. I didn't see it in the pictures, and I just wanted to bring that up. And so she apologizes again. I was like, oh my God, multiple apologies. So she apologizes again and asks like if she can hug her, and Angel said no. And that's probably the realest thing Angel did, except it's off of the back of like a complete switch up from the night before. But anyway, but then in confessional, Gizelle was like, well, Angel hugged me last night, so like I just wish she would keep the same energy. And I was like, oh my God, am I agreeing with Gizelle Bryant? What is happening this year? Because if y'all have seen my other recaps, I've been not okay, because I have agreed with Larsa Pippen a few times. I think I was agreeing with Tamara at some point in this recent OC season. And now Gizelle Bryant, like, can y'all admit me to a hospital? Because I'm like, what's happening? I haven't agreed with Gizelle Bryant, child, in a very long time, okay? And so she basically was like, I wish you kept that same energy. It's really weird. We were cool last night and now today you don't want to hug, but whatever. So then Angel has some late confessional saying like, you know, I like the way I look, my man likes it, and at least I got a husband. And I'm like, all right. That's not a flex, y'all. Cool. Okay. You got a husband and he can leave you tomorrow and you won't have a husband. And then what? You want a cookie? Cool. And I'm married. This is coming from a married woman. Cool. You're married. And I don't understand. It's sad to me that people make that their entire personality and like I'm a wife. And yes, you're a wife, but like who are you? And it's just like how Angel keeps saying like I'm a wag, and how they were kind of pointing out later on that she's always talking about like her man, her man, her man. And it's like, well, who are you? You know, like you are a person separate from your husband, and outside of and even though it's a blessing and it's beautiful that he can do for you and provide for you and spoil you as he should, do not get me wrong on that, but is that your entire personality? That's sad. I don't know. So anyway, she had some late shade with that. Like Karen does the best shade on Gizelle not having a man. Okay, we don't need anyone else. We don't anyone else. It just seems whack. Okay, we got it. Gizelle hasn't been serious with anyone, at least on TV, in a very long time. But according to her, she's out in the streets, so let her have that. So the ladies go to the pool, and Jassi has a cute little body. I said, "Come on, Jassi, yes." And same with Kay, but I was like, "Okay, Jassi, yes." The ladies are like in their little bikinis and cover-ups, having breakfast by the pool, and Ashley pulls Kay for a chat. Oh my God, am I using Love Island terms? She pulled her for a chat, whatever. So Ashley pulls Kay for a chat, and Kay says that she's upset with the catfish jokes, and she's upset, you know, the Wendy situation is bothering her. And I'm like, the situation that you caused? Because Wendy didn't know y'all had a problem. So, you know, just think about that. And so, and then she said, you know, she said that she's also mad at Jassi for kind of adding to the disconnect that she's already experiencing with Wendy. And I'm like, you started this non-existent issue. So there's that. So then in the other group, who are sitting in the other cabana, they point out that it was rude of Kay to leave Wendy's party. And Wendy says, you know, her slip is showing. She's starting to show that she's really not a friend by her walking out like that. Angel joins Ashley and Kay, and they check in on her. They're like, hey, how are you feeling? What's going on? And she says that she forgives Gizelle, but she's just going to leave it at that. So then in the other group, Gizelle tells the women that Angel was crying this morning and she was really upset. And the group, you know, had the same thoughts as me, where Tia was like, I thought like we left on a good note. I thought we were able to turn things around and things left on a happy note. And Wendy says, yeah, like she was doing great. She was doing great, meaning like she was opening up. She was showing her personality. She was getting along with other people. She was extending herself to the rest of the group and not just closed off with Kay. And you know, Wendy said, you know, there just seems to be a dark cloud with Keiarna and Angel, and they've just become the sad sisters. If you made it this far and you're enjoying my commentary, and you have any thoughts of your own, please leave me a comment. Please like and please subscribe. I would love to have you join the party. Okay. So the ladies get in a van and they are headed to a museum. And the driver, you know, he was singing. He said, y'all gonna get my song. You're gonna get my singing on Bravo. I said, come on. He had a really nice voice. And Wendy was like, do you have any singing internships? Because if so, Ashley, you need to sign up. I was dying. I wish we could have seen Ashley's response, or maybe she was just gagged and maybe that's why there was no response to show. But yes, our voice is terrible. Um, and so they go to the Museum of Alexander Hamilton. And I said, come on, like, come on with the educational parts of the trip. Gizelle put together a really nice trip so far because I'm seeing the luxury. I like the education. They're doing, experiencing some pieces of the culture, which is nice. And so I'm really appreciating the trip that she and probably production put together. So they go to the Alexander Hamilton Museum, and I didn't know he was born in Nevis. So I was learning right along with them. And I said, come on, Caribbean brother. Like, I didn't know. And so they were actually joking, like, is he black? Is he part black? Like, what's happening? So at the museum, Tia asked Angel how she's doing, and Angel says she's still processing, but she's okay. And Tia tries to empathize, basically saying, like, I understand you just had a baby, and I understand how that can kind of like hurt your feelings. And Jassi throws Tia under the bus, like, well, when Gizelle said it, you agreed. And Tia says, but Tia, what I really like about Tia is that she didn't back down from it. She didn't have a revisionist history moment. She owned up to the fact that she did agree, but she was like, yeah, but I wouldn't have addressed it the way Gizelle did. I would have pulled her to the side. And I said, yes, Tia. First, she chews up Ashley. Now she's, and now she's like owning her shade. And I'm like, thank you. You will go far, Tia. You will go far. Thank you. I really like her so far. And I really like Jassi too, even though she's a little messy. I do like her for the most part. She has a lot of good energy. She speaks up for herself. She's good on TV. Like I want to keep watching her. So Jassi tells Angel that she was so bubbly last night. And it seems that when she got with Kay, it's not the same energy. I said, bingo. And Angel says that she wasn't bubbly. She was annoyed. And Jassi was like, you were annoyed, but you were like high-fiving us and like hugging us. Like, huh? Jassi in a confessional was like, well, who did Angel talk to get so upset? So then production shows Angel, ha ha ha, he 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 he, hugging, high-fiving the women, and then she walks onto her villa. 5 minutes later, she's with Keiarna. Keiarna says she's so effing annoyed. And Angel says, yeah, me too. I was like, what? Angel says, yeah, I'm good on everybody except for you. I was just like, you are signing a death warrant as a housewife. You have to have a firm place in the group. You have to get to know people. It's literally the Housewives is Survivor in heels, okay? You have to have a firm placement in the group. You can't rely on one person because when that breaks, you have no one. Okay? Look at Garcelle and Sutton. Garcelle didn't do her best in getting to know the other women on a personal level. She put all her eggs into like caping for Sutton, going hard for Sutton, and Sutton's my BFF. And then when Sutton was kind of like, yeah, girl, we cool, but I'd rather be with the in crowd. When she showed her true colors and turned her back on Garcelle in so many words, Garcelle was kind of like, oh, I have nowhere else to go. I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna leave. So it's like you have to make sure that you have relationships and alliances within the group, as many as you can. Yeah, you're going to have some back and forth with people. Yeah, there's going to be one or two that you're like, all right, I'm cool on you. We ain't cool like that. But for the most part, you have to extend yourself to other people because the numbers matter, and who wants to film with you matters, and who's going to go to bat for you matters at the end of the day. And even though I can't stand Kyle Richards, I will give her tens in that area because I do see her consistently every year making it a point to sit down with the new person, to get to know this person, to film with this person. And it's not her filming with the same people all the time. And I think it's very strategic on her part. But it's smart because then when it comes time for the reunion, you don't have 5 different daggers coming at you. You have maybe 4 people speaking up for you. So anyways, yeah, so she's literally signing her death warrant. I'm good on everybody except for you. And I'm like, then why are you here? You know it's an ensemble cast, right? Like, do you know why you're here, honey? I don't know if you got your shows mixed up. I don't know if you know that you're on a show, but yeah, it's weird. It's getting weird. So anyway, then in the confessional, Jassi made a joke saying, maybe Angel was catfishing a personality too. And I appreciated that. That was a good one, Jassi. Okay. So they get back to the villas and Wendy brings up Ashley being a captain, save a hoe. And that caramel popcorn looked good. I was like, ooh, I want some. But anyway, so Ashley tries to deflect again, bringing up Stacy again. I'm like, why do you have such a hard on for Stacy? My God. So she brings up Stacy again and just says, yeah, Stacy, you be lying. You lied about Chris. Blah, 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 blah. Honey, nobody cares. Nobody cares. But what I do love is that Wendy was like, no, let's focus on Gizelle. Let's stay right here. Let's focus on Gizelle. We're not doing any of these side conversations. We're not doing any deflections. Let's get to the bottom of what's going on with Gizelle for once. So they start asking Gizelle questions about Sean, and she's clearly uncomfortable, and I love it. And that woman is a vault. And that is like, that's why I feel like Gizelle can never be like an iconic housewife, because yes, she's the queen of the show and she's the face of the show. And yes, she's the queen bee of the group. Like all the girls want to follow up under her. That is correct. She doesn't, in terms of like the scheme of housewives, she doesn't show enough vulnerability. When you think about the other queens of the shows, and the other HBICs, they at least let us in. We've seen Teresa cry over her relationship with her brother, over her divorce, over her parents. We've seen Vicky, talk about her deteriorating marriage and letting us in with that. We've seen Bethany upset. And it's not that you have to be upset, but it's like just giving us personal story, giving us something to connect to, something to be like, oh, damn, that's interesting. Or damn, I went through that too. Or something to move us. And it's not all shade and memes. Even Nene, who, I can be very critical of, like Nene gives us the shade and the one-liners and the memes, but she has also let us in on other personal issues, the way she grew up, her marriage, her, raising her sons. So it's like, that's what Gizelle is missing. She will, in my opinion, never be an all-star housewife, never be an icon in terms of housewives, because we don't know who the hell you are, Gizelle. You want to talk about not knowing Stacy and Stacy not being worth a little handwritten note. I don't know who you are, boo-boo. This is season 10. I can name 3 things about you. And that's for real. Anyway, so she's just squirming and they're asking questions. And then as they're asking questions, Wendy's like, I just want to say, I can tell you're happy. And, now that we're friends, like I can, I'm just so happy for you. And I'm just love seeing this. And when she said friend, Giselle looked surprised, kind of like, oh, we friends? And then even in confessional, Gizelle said something along the lines of like, oh, okay, Wendy. Yeah, I guess we are friends. I'm like, ooh, that's embarrassing. Like, how are you gonna like pour your heart out and I'm just so glad and I'm just so happy for you. And I can see it in your eyes. And we come a long way and we are friends. And then the person turns around like, yeah, I guess we're friends. Okay, Wendy. All right, Wendy. So Angel says that her man sent her $5,000 to go shopping. And Giselle's hating ass was like, I'm tired of hearing about Bobby. I want to know about you. And, I think it's a fair point, but I also think it was laced in some jealousy. So then Gizelle asked Tia if her man travels with her a lot. She said no. Wendy asked Tia, was her family upset that she married an American and not a Nigerian? Because that tends to be a big deal. And she said, yeah, there are definitely cultural differences, even though we're Black American and Black Nigerian are very different. And she said that, the first difference that she said was that, Nigerians are very respectful of their elders. And, when her kids are not the most respectful, people say, oh, they're too American. And I'm like, I think American culture is probably more casual and less formal and less respectful than Nigerian culture. If I had to guess, I would guess that. But I feel like the Black community don't play either. I feel like in the clip that they showed, she was just being a kid, and Tia rightfully so corrected her. And I feel like most, obviously you can't speak for all, but I feel like most Black people would have corrected, like, I'm not your friend, I'm not your little friend. Don't, it's not bro, it's not girl, it's mom. So I was kind of like, all right, that was kind of a weak example, but that was the example that they showed, child. And she said that's kind of something that she noticed. So I'm not going to speak on her household, but I was kind of like, I was a little offended. I was like, hold up. Because Black people believe in manners and saying miss and mister, and, you know, making sure that you're addressing elders in a respectful manner as well. And if a little kid is not doing that, they are usually corrected. So I was like, all right, Tia. So they get on a party bus to their next destination, and they're just like going shopping, and they're just kind of like in a little, like, it looks like almost like a marketplace. And Angel mentions that she sexted her man, basically like sex, like, when I come home, I'm gonna put it on you, right? And so Stacey said, okay, what's my man gonna do if I do that? Because like I usually don't do that. So she did that. So she texted her man sex, and then she sends this like awkward picture, and it was like sex with me. And girl, that is not sexy. And then he replied, like, I think you have the wrong number. And it's clearly a joke, right? But here goes Ashley, oh, that's not a good sign. Like, oh my God, oh my God. And so of course she runs out and like tries to tell Gizelle and tries to make a thing out of it, but Stacey did squash that and was like, stop talking about me. Like, bro, he's German. Like, we don't talk like that normally. Like, it's not that deep. But anyway, so they do a steel drum lesson. I love that they're doing things on this trip. I love that they're in the culture. And, as someone who has spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, I am very familiar with the steel drums, and I have learned how to play a song back in the day on there. When they get back to the villa, like, Wendy's like laid out and she's just like not doing well. So Stacey and Gizelle bring her some ginger ale and Gatorade and goldfish. It was really sweet. Gizelle was me because Gizelle made sure not to get too close. I don't play germs. So Gizelle was me. She was kind of like, you good? Okay. Production asked Gizelle, do you think Wendy and Kay would still be friends if Wendy checked on Kay when she was sick a few seasons ago? And Gizelle surprisingly was not messy. She was kind of like, I forget what she said exactly, but she was kind of like, no comment. I'm like, thank you for once. So then the ladies go to dinner, and the owner greets them with killer bee shots and was like, I'm going to personally cook for you. He seemed really cool, and everyone's in good spirits. And then here goes freaking weirdo Angela. She's like, oh, am I going to be on the menu again? Girl, no one's thinking about you. At this point, you probably like the attention, because why would you even bring that up? If everybody was having a good time and not focused on you, why would you then turn the focus back on you? You're a weirdo. Giselle tells Kay that Wendy was upset that Kay left her birthday party. So Ashley interjects and says, it was kind of good that Kay left because we got to know Angel on her own, and everyone starts chiming in saying that they all had a good time that night. And then Jassi points out that Angel didn't have a good time because she had talked to her earlier in the day. And Angel says, I slept on it, and, and I was upset. And so they're like, girl, you went to sleep and woke up upset. She's like, yeah, all defensive. I'm like, girl, shut up. So then Tia says, personally, I would want someone to tell me if I was doing too much filter on my pictures. Like, I would, if I had pictures out there that didn't look like me, I would want people to tell me. So then Jassi takes that as an opportunity to say, well, I do think you do filter yours a lot. I love Jassi. But Queen Tia, she says, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for telling me. That's how you handle it, Angel. You don't spiral for 2 days and like make a big scene of it. All you have to do is say, oh, thank you for letting me know. Or, yeah, girl, that's the look I'm going for. Or, yeah, filter, mind your business. Like, it's really not that hard, you know? Like, own it and move on. Not that big of a deal. And had you just owned it and moved on, we wouldn't be talking about it the next night, right? Then Kay brings it back to herself and thanks Gizelle for giving her the heads up that Wendy's upset, because she said, Wendy doesn't really like share about, her being upset that much. And, I'm just really upset that Jassi is making our disconnect even worse. And so Jassi said, well, Kay talked about, basically to Kay that like, well, you talked about private conversations that I had with you, basically about like her man, stepping out on her or whatever. And basically it was like, well, are you jealous? Kind of like, what's your beef with me? Are you jealous? So they go back and forth a little bit, but then finally Kay was like, well, tell me what I said about Wendy, because you threw it out there. You never said it. Tell me what I said. And then in a confessional, Jassi says that Kay said that she shouldn't trust Wendy. And I'm like, girl, that's it. I was like, I guess. Like, we were like on the edge of our chairs, like wondering what was said. And I was like, okay, that's it. But Jassi did said, given when Kay said this, Wendy would be very upset. So basically, I think this is when Wendy was thinking that they were very close, and Keiarna is going behind her back, like, yeah, don't trust her. So she said, on a scale of like 1 to 10, she's going to be 8.5 upset. And so that was the end of the episode. This was one of my favorite episodes in seasons, because, the past few seasons of, because some of the seasons of Potomac have been hard to watch, have gotten too dark, have gotten too nasty and ugly. I didn't mind this episode. I liked it. I think I liked the cultural experiences and like experiencing things on the trip. But then, I liked the night of Wendy's birthday, of them just having a kiki and having fun, and kind of moving on from things. And then, obviously we're going to get inevitable some of the other arguing. I liked Wendy sitting Gizelle in the hot seat and keeping her behind there for a while. I really liked this episode. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Tell me below. And like I said, if you want more commentary, if you want to continue to hang out virtually, please like and subscribe. That will really help to support the channel. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some regular Potomac recaps. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.